€519 a bale. Ooh! It's so good you just want to sing. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Little Town. Almost called it Little Farm again. Today, we're baling hay because I've forgotten to lower the pickup. Immediately screwing up. Wonderful. Today we're baling hay because it's gonna make us some money. Need to get into 4th gear. Just for maximum speeds, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So much like in... no, not yesterday. Yesterday for me. Monday's video. I'm going to have a poll for you guys. What should I do next time? Because there are a few different things that can be done. One thing that needs to be done is... the fields will need to be fertilized, all 3 fields that we are using. Both fields, in fact, because we don't own field 1. What else we could do is... I'll actually be moving the bales and finishing the baling in the off-camera streams. Which are a joke, by the way. I don't legitimately mean they're off-camera. It's a running joke. Those streams are me chilling out playing Farm Sim. And, the whole joke is it's not actually off camera. It's what would normally be off camera work, but it's not specifically off camera. What else could we do? I guess that it could take more than 2 hours to move all the bales, or more than 4 hours to move all the bales, because there's going to be quite a lot of them. There's going to be a couple of hundred, and we're going to have to move them all individually and manually. So I guess bale moving. Bale work could be one of the things. So we got... I should be writing this down, shouldn't I? Hang on a second. So we have fertilizing. We have bale work. I guess the other things I could do are kind of heavily dependent on... bales being moved. Even fertilizing kind of is, so I'll prioritize moving bales out of the crop fields. We could do some cultivating, or we could do some roadside mowing, or we could do something else. So I'll have another, the other option again. And the other option will be you can choose whatever you want in the comments. And if other wins, I'll pick one at random. In fact, one at random that makes sense that I can do. In fact, no, I won't have another option. Never mind, because I could do crop sales. So, whoa, I'm way off. This is what happens when I'm writing and driving at the same time. Don't write with a pencil and drive, kids. So the 4 options are fertilizing, bale work, cultivating, and selling the crops. They're the 4 things that need to be done on the map right now. I could go for another meadow and get that all sorted, but the other 4 things are kind of a bit higher on the agenda. There's going to be a metric crap ton of bales, even though they're all 1,000 litres. There's going to be a ton of them, literally and metaphorically. Going to be multiple tons, literally. So that's kind of the plan that I've got, the 4 plans that I have for next week. You guys get to choose which plan gets put into action. And that's kind of the poll for this video. And yes, I'm doing essentially farming farming by popular opinion. I am the democratic farmer. But it's something that not many people do, is say to the viewers, hey, here's 4 things we could do, which one do you want? And actually do the whole card poll. So there'll be a card again, much like on Monday. So if you watch Monday's video, you'll know what the deal is already. There'll be a card. I'll hopefully only have the one this time. On Monday I had 2, so I've got to collate results manually. Lovely. And yeah, I'll be running a poll again so that you guys can choose what our work is for next week. And for those of you who are wondering why the field is suddenly finished being windrowed, because this is the field I finished off streaming last week, or in the video, or streaming, or one of the two. I came on manually before I did the Cobra stream on Tuesday, or yesterday even. Came in, did it, and finished that all off because I wanted to do baling today, as opposed to windrowing. I'm concerned about this bale because it's getting really... That's going to be problematic. As is this telephone pole up here, because that's really, really close to the end of a windrow. It's like perfectly in line, so that's an issue. There's another one over there that is like right on top of a windrow. That I'm slightly concerned about, but that's a problem for later. So, you're probably wondering why I'm using the Deere, and also why the Deere suddenly has fuel in it. Number one, I refueled the Deere. There's a fuel point over by the Pigs and Beef in Little Town, which is really nice. And number two, I'm using the Deere because I'm using a John Deere baler, and it made sense to use a John Deere to pull it. One thing I will say is this is not going to be the baling session that we'll be putting to the cows. We will be getting cows eventually. These bales, all of them, literally all of them, are going to be sold. Every single bale we're making right now is going to be sold. We're going to invest in a bigger baler and a bigger tractor to pull the baler. And once we can get normal Giants bales in, then we'll be using bales for cows and sheep and sheep? Cows and pigs and beef and whatnot. Because I wouldn't mind doing pigs and beef on this map as well. I know there have been a few requests for cows, but pig and beef mod is on this map as well. I can do pigs and beef. I may well do for free fertilizer, effectively. I'm cheap. Deal with it. Really am. So yeah, that's kind of the plan, I guess. Is we're gonna get a bigger baler. It's probably gonna be a John Deere again. We won't get a John Deere to pull it necessarily, but we'll be getting a John Deere baler. I have one available to me. I actually quite like it as well, which is a rarity for a John Deere mod. That said, it's a reskin of a Crone baler, so I guess it's not too scary. Either that or the Crone is the reskin of the John Deere. One of the two. Either way, it works. That's my point, is it works. So we got the two headlands. I probably should have done the straight lines first, shouldn't I? I probably should have done the straight windrows before I came around the headlands. This may come back and bite me. This probably will come back and bite me. That is the windrow I want to come up from the other angle. Because... Oh no, that's not the one that I want to come up from a different angle's over there somewhere. I'm going to do this section over here first because it's out of the way. And just so that we get a full section of field done. I regret this immediately. But I can fix this. I can fix this. Come here, bale. I'm going to use the baler to move the bale. Okay. Yeah, that didn't work at all. That did not go to plan. Although I did pick up this bit over here, so... I mean, it is nice that I'm cleaning the field as I'm going, for once. So I'm just going to go back up this line. I do want to be trying to attack this windrow from this direction, because it should be easier to hook in if I'm not trying to get the entire tractor moved around that telephone pole. Or power line, or whatever it is. That pole, which hopefully isn't floating like the magical floating pole we discovered in the stream last week. Was it Sunday's stream? We discovered the magical floating pole? Ah, we're going backwards. Come on, John Deere, you can do this. We'll just bail at 4 miles an hour. Oh god, that's not even 4 miles an hour, it's like 2 miles an hour. 4 kilometers an hour. We're literally going to be bailing at walking pace. 7 is actually a reasonable speed to be baling, I think. Because it's not stupid quick. It's to be fair, it's a small and rather old baler. You wouldn't be you wouldn't be running at maximum speed with it. You would be going, you know, 3.5 to 4 miles an hour, which is roughly what 7 kilometers an hour is. I know it's not exact, but you know, rough speeds are good enough for me. I'm gonna go around and pick up this bit, because then I can pick up the top half of that windrow that I missed. So yes, baling is not the most exciting thing in the world ever, especially not when you're driving around the John Deere. I did bring the Ford TW10 back into the field here to finish the windrowing, because this John Deere is slow. It's slow. There's no two ways about it. It is not fast. As I am proving, because it's struggling to climb a hill. It also doesn't have 4-wheel drive, so if I get it stuck somewhere, I'm essentially going to have to put it into first gear and hope for the best. I know this because I've had to do it already. I want third gear for baling. I've legitimately had to put this thing into first gear and basically just hope it drove. It did, which is good, but that's not exactly a situation you want to be in. I'm gonna switch back to the baler now in my selection. So we got 23 bales on this field already, 61 total on the map. Because I haven't sold any bales yet. I haven't moved any bales. All the bales that were there, except maybe one, because I swear I had a bale beside the baler before, and that disappeared. So that could be problematic. I think a bale may have been kicked across the map, or potentially out of it entirely. So I'll have to check the XML when I've got all the bales sold to look for any rogue bales. You know what I never checked is if this thing works with bale extension. Does this thing work with bale extension? It does. 519 per bale. Oh, yes. 519 euros a bale. Ooh! It's so good you just want to sing. Oh dear. I can't believe I actually did just make like a musical. I don't know. That is a mess. That'll do. Pick up the header. The pickup. Fourth gear was a mistake. First gear. Second gear. Come on, baler. Third gear. Fourth gear. There we go. Third gear. Lower the pickup now. Swing it, please. Pick all this up. I didn't lower the pickup because I didn't have the baler selected. Lower the pickup, and this time it's definitely going to swing in. But will it swing to first gear again? Yes, it's. Oh god dang it! Back into third. I am not good farmers. I am not a good farmer. I mean, I'm able to talk the talk, but my god, I cannot drive. It's just a known fact at this point, is like, I cannot drive. So, let's swing this around and pick up the next row here. I know that you don't really want to be pulling this tight of a turn, but for some reason this row is super tight to the next one. And we'll start skipping rows from here on out. It's just to clean up this section of the field first. Then we'll start moving on the skipped rows. Or the row skips? Skip rowers? Row skippers? Skippity-doo-da-day? I don't know. Alright, let's take a little bit of a wide turn. And that should be lined up roughly well, yes. Hill. Second gear. Come on, second gear. You can do this. You've got the torque. Back up to third because we've crested the hill. I can't believe I'm actually having to use the gearbox mod properly for once. Normally it's just to hit it into a gear and you're good. Now I've got to actually be worried about what gear I'm in. I think third for baling is pretty good because you don't want to be in maximum gear the whole time. And hopefully this is good for fuel consumption as well. I hope it's good for fuel consumption, because if it's not, I'm causing myself issues. So we'll be skipping the row to our right, and then moving on to the 1, 2 from our right. Whoops. Where's my mouse? Need to be very careful if I accidentally open up courseplay where my mouse is. Because if I screw up and my mouse is on the other window and I right click to close courseplay, it crashes fraps. Which is fun. That's a fun experience. So this is going to be the first gear situation, isn't it? Because that looks rather steep. That looks very rather steep. Let's see how it does. 6, 7. Oh, she moves. She's running well now. Must have warmed up the engine, you see. That's why you warm up the engine before you start driving, is you can drive in the vehicle with an engine. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm literally just saying words at this point. So again, we're going to skip rows just because, number one, it looks cool and neat. Number two, it means we're not putting stress on the PTO. We're not putting too much stress on the PTO. And we're not running the risk of the tractor slowing down to like 2 kilometers an hour. Which is delicious. Plus we can keep it up at speed. And it's a relatively easy turn. Except for the fact there's a really quite steep hill immediately once I start baling. But I mean, it just, that bale's gonna fall on. Yes, good. That's gonna be fun to clean up. I will be cleaning up in the stream, possibly, like actually going around and incessantly picking up every single bit of hay out of the field. Oh, that's the windrow I was talking about earlier. Where I'm literally gonna have to drive down on the, as we're looking at it now, the left-hand side. Drive down it like this, because otherwise the tractor's going to smack into the telephone pole and I'll get nowhere. It is fun wrapping things around telephone poles, but I mean it's not a good idea, put it that way. Almost got another bale. 1200 a bale is these are incredibly dense bales. Because normally the big bales are like 4,000 litres. If these are pretty much a third of that, they're incredibly dense bales. Because they're about an eighth of the size. Or maybe even just a quarter, but they're significantly smaller than the big bales. These are incredibly dense bales. I'd love to know where you get the baling twine for this, because I'm sure there's plenty of farmers who'd love bales this dense always. Hey, we've got enough. We've got a bale. We've got enough straw for the winter. We've got a single hay bale that'll feed our horses for years, or until the hay rots, whichever comes first. We've got a silage bale. We're good. Good lord, that's just... I think that's a bit too dense. In all honesty. No joke, that's a bit too dense for a bale. I may fiddle the dense... I may fiddle the bale file with the John Deere and make it like 500 litres a bale, so that it makes a bit more sense. Because I would argue these are about an eighth the size of the normal bales, so an eighth the capacity for them to have the same density, which they wouldn't. But you could argue it's a, you know, a refitted baler. Because this thing is an old baler. This baler, I believe the documentation I've seen on a 24T, which is literally a YouTube video. It's a 65. 1965, the Model A Ford. Model A John Deere is a 1949, I think. Definitely late 40s, early 50s model. So I mean, these things would have been able to run in tandem with each other reasonably well in real life. I'm not too sure about the top speed of the Model A John Deere, but I mean, in the 50s you wouldn't have had big farms anywhere in the world. And let's face it, a tractor is a step up from a horse or a few oxen. So 13 kilometers an hour is quite fast. You could... I usually jog at about 9 or 10. For a consistent jog if I want to... Ooh, buggeration. Come on, Bale, move. If I want to, like, really work out, I'll go 13. That's kind of borderline sprinting. Can I just go into first gear and run this thing over? Please. The answer is yes. I was kidding. And I was expecting some funky physics. But no, I just run it over and collected it. That... Yeah, I mean... can I even complain about this situation? Seriously, can I complain about this, or is this, like, a good thing? Because the bale is now stuck on the baler. Well, between the tractor and the baler, it's not going to move. Unless it suddenly dislodges and pings off somewhere when I start turning around, which is a very real possibility. This is going to be interesting. I'm not entirely sure what's about to happen. Well, the moment of truth. What's the bale going to do? It's going to flop over and get me stuck again. Can I go first gear and roll over it again, or have I managed to beach myself on a bale? Oh my god, have I seriously just beached the tractor on a bale? Remember, this thing doesn't have four-wheel drive, so I'm literally just... What if I try second gear? Oh ho ho ho! Power, yes. I come from the Jeremy Clarkson School of Motoring, and that is, if at first you don't succeed, you're clearly not pressing on the accelerator enough. Power works, obviously. I do appreciate... I'm just gonna stop up here. I do appreciate how, while the dirt skin doesn't have... and this doesn't have a normal file, which is a bit of a shame, it does kind of look like it's just becoming dusty. Like, it doesn't look like it's getting dirty, per se. Whereas the I don't think the John Deere actually has a dirt skin. This thing looks like it's just becoming dusty, which is really nice because, I mean, I'm running it through hay. This thing, you know, this stuff is, in reality, quite dusty. Especially if it's, say, this dry. This thing would just be plumes of dust everywhere. Some of you are probably wondering why I use the classic equipment at this point. Because I've been doing nothing but saying, hey, let's go really slowly. That's kind of my point. Is that a lot of people who play Farm Sim on YouTube play as quickly as they possibly can. And I've absolutely no problem with that. I've no problem with people going, you know, oh, I'm just going to get the biggest stuff because that's the most efficient. That's my thought process too, but I like playing slowly. I really do. This is where I'm in my element, is driving around irrationally slowly like I have been smoking a lot of green stuff lately. Um, no, I just like the look and the sound of the older equipment. And I like small bales. I'm one of these weirdos who actually likes them. I know they're not the most popular thing in the world. I know that this is going to be hell to clean up. I fully appreciate that, and I'm cursing myself for even deciding this is a good idea, because each of these has to be picked up manually. I'm not kidding. I'm going to hate myself next week. Yeah, I just like older equipment. I love looking at classic cars and classic stuff like from the 50s and 60s. Even up to the 70s. Some of the 80s stuff is nice, as long as it doesn't look like a literal shoebox on wheels. I'm looking at you, Mazda Demio, because that thing was quite literally just a shoebox on wheels. Nissan Cube has the same problem, although it's a more modern car. Yeah, I just like the sheer utilitarian look of the old tractors. I mean, there's no fancy cowlings on here. It's just, well, we need to get the steering line up, so what do? Well, steering column. Well, let's just have it go through a little hole in the top of the tractor. Okay, but the radiator needs to be much bigger than the rest of the vehicle. Well, we'll just make the cowling a bit wider at the front and taper it off. Okay. We're not expecting it to rain sideways anytime soon, so let's leave the sides open, because this was built primarily for the American market, which is why it's got the row crop tires in it. I do love tractors that have these row crop tires as well. I just think they look nice. I know there's going to be people who say, no, these look ridiculous. And they do look ridiculous. And I'm not going to disagree with you. They do look ridiculous, but I love them. I love them because they look ridiculous. I mean, even the 24T, I just love the little animations that are going on. I mean, ooh. I was going to use Courseplay to show off, but I can't. But if you look, you can see the plunger going in and out. The rakes that are collecting up the hay, because there's no auger in this thing. Those rakes are going right into the back over here and picking up the hay, drawing it into the bale chamber, and then the plunger smacking them. And what you'll see in a moment, hopefully, is one of my favourite things. The PTO does move as well in this. You'll hopefully see this in a moment, very soon, is, if I can trip it, the knotter actually has an animation on this thing. Come on. It should trip in a second. So I'm just going to slow right down so that there's no like major distractions. There we go, there's the knotter going. And because I'm going so slowly, it kind of broke the animation a bit, but the knotter is animated on this. And if I go up to full speed of 7, it does look like it's actually working properly. Because it just kind of bops twice. I know in real life it'll bop once, because it's just a trip mechanism. But I mean, it is a nice little detail to include in a tractor, and it's the little details or a tractor and baler. It's the little details I think that make mods. So we're about to get another bale tripping here, and there's the knotter. Because we didn't get enough hay quick enough, it's now just tripping like mad. So it starts tripping at about 1180. And then keeps going until it hits 1200. So if I was to go into 4th gear with this thing, I'd get up to about 10 or 11 kilometers an hour. 11. So this is full speed baling. And assuming I don't hit like 1190 before... Oh, I bloody will, won't I? I'll hit 1190 right at the end of this line, I think. Assuming I can get it to trip on full 1200, once, twice, gone. Which is a lot closer to reality with this baler. So we've done about half the field today in terms of baling, which is actually impressive in my books. I'm genuinely impressed by that. I have no idea what to do now, or for the streams, because I was expecting this to take a lot longer than it is taking. I will tidy up the field in the stream though, so if you're going to be watching the streams of the off-camera work, you should fully expect to see me just driving around the field like a madman, clearing up the small little specks, because I'm a perfectionist, and these small little specks of hay everywhere are not perfection. It's also why, if you look, the lines are very close to being straight. It's because I was taking as tight a line as I possibly could around the field. In any case, I think I'm going to leave the video here. For those of you who are new, welcome along. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe if you did enjoy it and you're new. If you're old and you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Don't forget to vote in the poll, because that's going to decide what next week's video actually is. And I know I only have one video on each map every week, but the 2 streams do add and do give you, you know, more content, which is really nice, I think. Plus, it gives you time to vote. So I'm going to leave you by saying I've been RainbowDave. You've been watching Farming Simulator 15 on the Little Town map, which I didn't call Little Farm this time. Until next time, stay safe. And I've just realized I'm going to have to do a full line coming down here, coming down just where I've come from, to get this thing into the angle I need for the next windrow. Nuts. Stay safe, and goodbye.